So welcome Titans for another Titan Zoom, and today we have Ryll, Burgin, Doyle from my favorite part of the world, and that is Australia. So how do I describe Ryll? Well, Ryll is a woman who, when she puts something on her mind, she executes it. You know, she has a fantastic personal story, from starting from $1,000 and building businesses, multi-million-dollar businesses. I know today she is going to share with you her insights, her wisdoms, and also part of her personal journey that has gotten her to where she is today. I just have to read this because I actually love what I posted, right? Don't you love it? Attention business owners, entrepreneurs, and this part, 9 to 5 escapee artists. Now, these aren't my words. These are Ryll's words, right? She says, if you've ever wished you could fully access to and grasp the millionaire mindset once and for all, this could be the most important, and I added, the Titan Zoom you've ever attended in your life. How could you not resist but come along? Aren't you curious, interested, wondering? So on that, Ryll, over to you. Thank you very much again for taking the time. I know it is evening for us, and I personally look forward to learning more and taking those little gems. So over to you.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me again. It's lovely to be here. I hope we can share the recording with some people and make sure everyone gets access to this. I don't know. I think that's how you do it, but it's so lovely to be here with you again. And I know we're soon to meet in person, and that's not happened, but it will happen soon. Right? We can just get across borders in Australia. That'll be so awesome. So, and Paul is so, I was thinking about this knowing this was coming up, and I thought, I wonder if he's going to be there tonight. And this is how we met, right? And we spent, months working together.
Exactly.
It's very exciting, and it's lovely to be here. And it's very special knowing that relationship has come out of this. So thank you for that introduction, and thank you for Paul for connecting.
One thing that I should probably share with you is the place I'm at is what I visualized on one of my first calls with you. So it has been life-changing. I'm looking forward to continuing on the journey. It should be fun.
Awesome. It'll be great. And I love that you've got your lake house. So right. So I just I don't know how much time. I actually don't know how much time we have. Is there a hard stop? I know last time there wasn't.
Well, the structure is we try, which we don't do really well because the Titans love to chat. It's a 45-minute presentation, and then 15 minutes for people to chat.
Okay, I'm going to go as quick as I can because I've got tons of stuff to give you. So last time I was here, I was talking about what I had been talking to people about all through the first part of COVID, the 2020 part of COVID, and the early 2020 part of COVID, and early this year, which was really that we have to have the 3 keys to thriving. One is perspective, and I don't mean positive, although that's good. I mean a long-term perspective. We have to keep our eye on the prize of where we want to end up by, say, 2030 or 2032 versus just the acute stuff we're all dealing with at the moment. And to those of you who are in certain places that are locked down and having terrible experiences right now, like Melbourne and Sydney, actually, my heart goes out to everybody. So long-term perspective while we deal with the short-term acute challenges that this phase presents to us. The second thing I've talked about is strategy. So what's strategy? It's going out to where you want to be, looking at where you are now and working backwards from that to get the fastest, easiest, most profitable way there. And then the third thing is actions. Well, what actions? The answer is, not facetiously, the right actions, meaning the ones that forward fulfilling your long-term vision and that long-term perspective, and have you execute the strategy that gives you the fastest, easiest, most profitable way to get there. So that's what we talked about last time. This time I want to talk about a little bit of a recap on that, but this is more I think what I was requested to do is a little bit more personal, and I'll say more about that. So really I've just done this, I've done the thing I'm going to walk through. obviously it's for me, I'm standing for this is the time to thrive as we come out of 2021 and we go into 2022 and 2023. 2022 is not going to be a picnic, but it's not, I don't think, my gut feeling is it's not going to be as horrible as 2020 and even 2021, but you know, we have to all touch wood on that and hope. But I feel my gut instinct says we're going to 2022 we'll start to reopen. 2023 will be back in a different position. I know in some of the businesses that I support and work with, and some of my own businesses, I've had one business shut, which was our largest business at the time that COVID struck. It's been shut since March 2020. So I fully understand what people are dealing with out there, but I do feel this is the time to thrive and be looking ahead and looking at how we come out of this and how you come out of this. So that's my focus for you, our time with you tonight. Will that add some value if we keep that perspective and I give you some things I think that are the keys to that? Yes, would that be of value? Okay, great. Pop anything in the chat, team. If you've got a question or a comment, pop it in the chat for me. So look, obviously there's no denying it's been a very turbulent 2020 and even 2021. The uncertainty continues. And even when you add in that what we were just talking about at the beginning of this call about robots and AI and what that's going to do to how we live, work and play, and it's being accelerated at the minute, the uncertainty is actually even higher. It's not just COVID related, it's actually the way we work is changing. So the uncertainty continues. So one reminder from my last session, those businesses here to stay, business will bounce back and business will grow. What I'm interested in, and I'm sure this group is very interested in, is where will you be when it does? And I'm really interested in how you're positioned. I always talk about this quote. Well, since for the last 2 years, I've been talking about this, and I'm going to keep talking about it until everyone's in better shape. But this is a quote from R. Buckminster Fuller. Some of you may know who Bucky is, or you may have heard me talk about him. But he was a futurist, philosopher, engineer, architect, designer, inventor, mathematician, historian, prolific author, who lived in the 20th century in the US. And his name is Bucky, or affectionately called Bucky. He said this, he said, "We are called to be architects of the future, not its victims." And I think there has never been a truer statement than right now. We are called to be the architects of the future, not its victims. And I'll talk a little bit more about that tonight. So this session is really about you and how you are the centerpiece of everything. But let's just come back a step and say, by all accounts, if you go and look everywhere, if you read stuff that's out there at the moment, there is a boom coming. There was a boom starting before in Australia, for example. There was a boom definitely in motion before this last round of lockdowns. I have one business that I'm CEO of. So one of the roles I play is a fractional CEO, where I come in and be the CEO part-time. So one $25 million business where I do that half a day to a day every fortnight. We saw certain behaviors start to happen in the market as things started to open up in 2020. We've recently seen the market shut down here again, and now it's opening up again, and we're seeing the exact same behaviors start to happen. There is a boom coming, and if you read any of the economic papers out there, they'll tell you that, whether they're right or wrong, it appears to be the behavior we're seeing when things look good. The weird thing, I think it's weird, the very weird thing about this whole process is that consumer confidence has not taken a massive hit. It did for a bit, but this is from Ibis World. This is showing you what happened at the GFC, where we all thought the whole place was going to fall apart, which it temporarily did. Compared to COVID, it's nowhere near as bad. And I read another report today that was talking about how, despite the crazy, investor and consumer confidence has remained. And I think that's because obviously there's been trillions of dollars poured into the market. Money has not left the planet. People are spending on things that they weren't spending on previously, renovating their houses, putting pools in, buying luxury cars. In Australia, people are buying secondhand luxury cars from the same price as new. at the moment because they cannot get a luxury car. So, and the government gave incentives. We bought a brand new luxury car because the government gave us 100% write-off. So there's all sorts of money being spent on things that are unexpected. There's always positive and negative consequences to what happens, and there's unintended outcomes. There's so much unintended outcomes out there at the minute of what happened with COVID, the fact that borders are shut, the fact that people are spending locally. Weirdly, though, I do still personally feel it's quite weird that consumer confidence has not plummeted and people haven't gone, oh my God, we should all go live in caves, but they haven't. So that's good for us. Those of us who are in business, there's a boom coming. People are still feeling relatively confident. I know there are certain places in the world. Unfortunately, Melbourne has gained the unfortunate recognition for being the most locked down city on the planet. So, they're not feeling as buoyant dealing with my clients in Melbourne. They're definitely suffering. But generally speaking, we definitely know there's a boom coming, and the consumer confidence has not really is still there. So there is a catch, though. There's absolutely a catch in my experience and my take, and I'll introduce myself formally in a minute, but there is a catch, and that is simply this. And if you could all write this down, please. There has never been, in my experience, and I've been at this 30 years, 2 of which have been in crazy COVID land, there has never been a more important time to work on your business or yourself, in my view. Never been a more important time. And I say that for several reasons. One is the fact of the impacts of what we've all been through. And you could say some of us have almost quasi lost that time. So we've got this urgency to get back in and play full tilt again. So there's never been a more important time to work on your business yourself. The other thing why I say that's so critical is that in my experience, I have seen businesses that are basically identical, same industry, same suburb, and you'll see one that has failed completely in COVID and one that has gone, okay, this is crazy, but this is what we're doing, and has thrived. There is only one difference in that scenario. What is the difference? Pop it in the chat. There has never been a more important time to work on your business or yourself. And for me, what this is all led to is it is time for us to evolve. It's time for us to evolve how we do business. Most of us who've thrived or come out the other side or are coming out the other side of this thing have evolved in some way, personally, professionally, in our businesses. Even Paul, who's here, that I've been working with, we're evolving what his business looks like. We're evolving what his brand looks like. We're evolving what is possible. We're evolving where he's going to put his business's attention, and we're evolving his role even in the business and what the business should be doing for him. So it is definitely time to evolve. And there's a couple of reasons why I say that. It's actually not optional. It's not optional. If your business wasn't giving you what you wanted before COVID, it is not going to deliver it post-COVID. If you weren't happy, if you were stressed, if you're overworked, if you're underpaid, if you're over-leveraged, you will be worse off after this thing. And no matter if your business was slowing, plateauing, or growing, COVID's only going to heighten whatever issues you're dealing with. Growth brings issues. Slowing brings issues. Plateauing brings issues. It doesn't matter. Every option has an issue. It's just a matter, things will heighten if you don't address things. So if you're unclear or uncertain or lack confidence, most people will find themselves in a worse position now. But you're part of this group. You're aware entrepreneurs and leaders. So I'm certain that you have done what I've been surveying business owners since the beginning of COVID, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And 13% have grown through COVID. 67% have said they've been negatively impacted in terms of revenue, but 32% have said they are absolutely, without question, absolutely committed to growth in the next 12 to 24 months. Every time I've asked the question, 32%. It's like a magic number. 32% shows up every time. So I'm assuming you're part of that 32%. So you are willing to change, but that time for change, the time to evolve is now. So the other thing I want you to think about is that where are you now in the cash flow quadrant? Many of you will know about the cash flow quadrant. It was not created by Robert Kiyosaki. It was created by another person, but it was made famous in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So on the left-hand side, you're an employee or self-employed selling time for money. On the right-hand side, you're a business owner, investor. You have a system that works for you. So wherever you are in this quadrant and wherever you want to be requires you to evolve. If you want to go to the next level, you have to evolve, and where you are will change what you do. So I'm going to pause briefly and just introduce myself. Formally, my name is Ryll Burgin Doyle, as I just said. I've had multiple businesses, even a non-profit called Step Up, working with teenage kids for a decade in 3 countries. I've achieved easy, high 7-figure, 8-figure businesses. I've been enlisted in the top 50 female entrepreneurs in Australia. Had the 11th fastest growing business in company in Australia at one time. I've been a Telstra Businesswoman of the Year. My entire last 30 years, and this is my 30th anniversary, which makes me feel really old / experienced. It's been on growth, growing my own businesses, growing other people's businesses. As was said earlier, I started my first business with $1,100 to my entire name and grew that to $1 million business within about 16 months, and then became the largest provider of our type within a couple of years and sold it successfully for 6 figures. I'll just put everyone on mute. Can we put everyone on mute, please? That would be, if you could, thanks. So really the focus, what I've been focused on is growth, and not just growth for growth's sake, but growth that gives you what you want. And of course, it hasn't been all smooth sailing. And as a result, I get it. I've literally been there and done that. I've made it. I've lost it. I've made it again. I've seen my clients do the same. At one point, I had a massive learning experience and lost everything. It's made me a much better entrepreneur. But what I can tell you is easy is better, strategic is better, transformation is better, and evolving is actually not just better, it is absolutely necessary in my view. So this is a premise you might want to write down. Tom Peters, who wrote a business classic called In Search of Excellence, said this: we are rewarded to the extent to which we add value. If you want to generate more rewards from your business or from your role, then focus on where and how you can add more value. To whom? So whenever I go to look at how to grow a business, I look at how can we add more value? Where can we add more value? To whom? In what way? How do we do business differently that is easier, better, adds more value? And even in Paul's business, we've been looking at that. Who can we add more value to in the most leveraged way? So my intention here tonight is to add as much value as I can to you. So feel free to pop any questions in the chat. What I do is now, as I work with I have my own businesses. I have multiple businesses. I have one business that we're playing $1 billion game in. I have another business in construction that does 25 million a year. I have 2 other tech businesses, that one of which will be a significant play. The other is a facilitator, which is fantastic. And actually, I just added a 3rd tech business this week, and another business I just raised $2 million for, and raising another $2 million in the next couple of weeks. So we have an events business that's been shut down. I have a range of businesses, obviously, based on that. But other than that, I work with a handful of people on the planet every year and helping them design their lives and business to produce the results they say they want and make it happen in reality. And it does take something, but it's I absolutely love it. But not pie in the sky, very real stuff. And the people I work with are not after the long and winding road. The programs we offer they're designed to accelerate you. The people I work with are people like you, brave, committed individuals, real life, real results, etc. I'll just give you one example. This is Ben and Jane Chambers. Ben and Jane have done some of our programs, including a program that I've got a special for, thanks to you being part of this. Ben and Jane Chambers have grown their net worth starting from a 7-figure base by 900% in 2 years. Beautiful couple. And Steve O'Halloran came from the finance industry, but was sucking the very life out of him. Now he's found a new career and earns the dollars he wants. Paul Gordon works with massive organizations. He doubled his revenues and profits from a 7-figure start in just 12 months. This is Melissa Fisher. Melissa's actually a partner of mine now in building a $1 billion platform, and with a B. So I'm very clear after 30 years. I am 100% clear. And you might want to write this down. If you want business growth, if you want exponential growth, not slow incremental increases, if you want any kind of growth, you are the answer. You are everything, especially in challenging times. There's just no question that that's not true for me. So I want you to think about, why did you go into business? In the last 30 years, every time I've asked the question, fundamentally the answers have fallen into wealth creation. I can earn more in a business than I can in a job. Lifestyle, I want to have control over where I go, what I do, when I do it, who I do it with. Freedom, people would call that. 3, they want to add value in some way, shape or form to their industry, to their sector. And 4, the self-expression. So identity, I don't see myself as an employee, I see myself as an entrepreneur kind of vibe. Usually though, we don't get all 4. We get some mix of one and half a bit of this and some of that, but it's not very even. So you might get wealth creation, but you have no lifestyle. You might have lifestyle, but no wealth. You might add a lot of value, but you're not getting paid properly for it. I've got a client that we've just changed their business model entirely from a small, struggling, difficult business to a new way of doing business, a platform and a way of being a service provider that is completely scalable, and we'll see them be in the next decade, they'll be a $1 billion business as well. So you know, you can be in anywhere. Those are generally the reasons, and generally we don't get all 4 of them, and we want all these kind of cool things, right, as business owners. And I'm happy to share this prezzo too, by the way. I'll give it to you. So we want all these things. How do we get them? What's the key? What is the key to growth? Given my experiences and what I've done, and, you know, having worked on $1 billion businesses and $400 million businesses and startups with zero money and having them be successfully funded and grow to market leading businesses, people often ask me, what is the key to growth? What is the key to growth? Well, it's actually, the truth is there's only one thing now or ever. In my experience, the most critically important factor to growth is actually you. It is absolutely without question you. And this is something I think I talked about with you last time, but I'm going to talk about it again because there's nothing more important, is that in my experience, when I first started consulting and helping people grow their businesses, I was 21 years old. I was an absolute baby. And frankly, I probably had no right to be doing it, except I was very enthusiastic. And I took feedback from mentors as instruction, not suggestion, and implemented it as instructions, not suggestions. And that made a massive difference for me. But in that process, which by the way is a tip, if you've got mentors, people around you, don't take what they're saying as suggestion, take it as instruction and see the difference you get. So in that process, I noticed that I would have a client, and the client would be kind of messy and all over the place, and their business was like that. I'd have another client who was rigid and, you know, cost conscious and difficult. Guess what their business was like? Exactly like that. So your business is a reflection of you. I took 5 weeks off last Christmas, or Christmas, I can't remember now, Christmas before. And at one part of the trip, we stayed in this particular resort, and down the bottom floor were 3 different coffee shops. And they're basically cafes all selling the same stuff, breakfast stuff, cafe stuff, coffees. And I stood back and looked at them all. They're fundamentally selling the same product. They're all completely different. Why was that? Well, because the business is a reflection of the founder. The founder's, what I call the founder's energy. The founder's energy comes out in everything, from the interior design, the aesthetic, the uniforms, the music that's played, the menu design, the pricing, the way the team are treated, and therefore the way the team treat the people. And he said one was dead empty, one was bursting at the seams, and one was doing okay. Literally a reflection, in my world, of the founder's energy. Your business is a reflection of you. I want you to consider your business a reflection of you. Your career is a reflection of you. You could say your business is a reflection of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Everything that works about you will work in the business. Everything that doesn't work about you will show up in the business. If you undervalue yourself, it will show up in the business. If you fear spending money, it will show up in the business. The business will be constrained. The growth will be constrained. Everything about you, the founder's energy or the leader's energy, leadership energy and mindset will show up in the behaviors and processes and systems of the business. It is not woo-woo. It is literally, it goes from your mindset, your behaviors, your actions drive the systems and processes and the way the culture is inside the business, which therefore shows up in the market. It's not woo-woo. It's absolutely, without question, what happens. So you're it in my world. So your bank account, your relationship, as in your primary relationship, your team is a reflection of you. People will say to me, no, my team's not a reflection of me. My team's a reflection of themselves and they need to get their act together. But who hired these people? Who hired them? Who trained them or who didn't train them? Who inducted them or didn't induct them? Who just, instead of hiring slow and firing fast, just went, I'll just take you, you've got a pulse, that'll help. You know, your team, your bank account's a reflection of you. Now, saying your bank account is a reflection of you can be a little bit confrontational at this time on the planet, especially because there are businesses who have been wildly impacted by COVID and massively impacted and shut down. I get it. I've got a business that's closed. And I've seen clients who have a very amazing relationship with money, who have absolutely no problem. Shut me down. I've got plenty. I can make it work. I can write it out. And I've got others who spent more than they earned and aren't in that position. So, and that relationship with money was already there, which meant their bank account was workable or not workable in a crisis. There's nothing right or wrong about it. It's just that we all have a relationship with money that shows up. Our business is a reflection of us. If you undervalue yourself, you'll be underpriced. If you avoid confrontation, you will not chase debtors. Or you will not set up processes that do that properly. So if you think working hard is a thing you have to do, if working hard and money are connected, guess what? You will have processes that you don't have automation. I've one client I've been working with, she finally got it. She's like, oh my God, they have to pay before I even do anything. I'm like, oh, yes, right. So now the whole business has a structure where people pay first, then they have the service. Whereas before she'd invoice and have to collect the money and blah, blah, blah. But then she started to value herself more and boom, the entire process changed. She's like, I get it. Oh my God, I get it. I've changed everything. Right. So your business, I want you to really take on is a reflection of you. So if there's something not working, the cool part about this, if there's something that's not working in your business, guess what? Totally changeable, totally fixable, totally able to be the next place that you cause growth from. And you have to take the view in my world that your business will never outstrip you. Your business will never outstrip you. Your wealth will never outstrip you. Your business will never outstrip your leadership, your mindset. It will never outstrip you because you're the source of it, right? You're absolutely the source. We all have a source. It's our parents. For some people, it's their faith. We are sourced in something. You are the source of your business. Your business is sourced in you. All your stuff is right there, good, bad, and ugly. So your business will never outstrip you. Fundamentally, for me, if you want to write this down, my 30 years of growing businesses, my own and others, failing in some, winning in many, is really simple. If you want to grow your business, you have to grow yourself. If you want to grow your wealth, you have to grow yourself. Those things are completely correlated. The key to growth is those things. If you want to grow your business, you have to grow yourself. If you want to grow your wealth, you have to grow yourself. So for me, that's the key to growth. What's the difference that makes the difference then? I've already said it to you, but specifically, it is your inner game. It is those beliefs, the mindset, your approach, your assumed approach that shows up everywhere. Your inner game that it gets expressed outwardly is the difference that makes the difference. So here's a premise from one of our programs called Money and You. Money and You is a live 3.5-day experiential program in the US. It's available in San Diego at the moment. In Australia and New Zealand, we have the rights to it. It's offered in Malaysia and Japan, and lots of different parts of Asia and in China and Taiwan. There's about 165,000 entrepreneurs on the planet who are graduates of Money and You. It has a 42-year history. If you think of almost anyone, I know that sounds crazy to say, but there's so many famous entrepreneurs that did Money and You when they were babies. It is outrageous. Tony Robbins graduated the program when he was 23, Jack Canfield, Paul Mitchell, Ben and Jerry, ridiculous. Famous people have done now they weren't famous when they did it. They used the principles and so on. So in Australia, there are people here, the people who own Anaconda and Spotlight were graduates. The people who created the Reach Foundation, graduates. Just enormous number of people. And lots of people like you and me, business owners, entrepreneurs doing their thing, have gone through Money and You. And one of the fundamental premises, and I was asked to bring 2 or 3 keys that would make a shift or have you thinking in a different way from an inner perspective, is this one. For things to change, first I must change. If you want to write that down, it's a fundamental premise for Money and You. And if you stand there and you look and you take my statement that your business is a reflection of you, and you take that for things to change, first I must change, and you go, oh, okay, which part of my business is not working as well as I'd like it to? What about me is showing up there? And you look there first. Before you look at anyone else, before the finger goes out to others, you first look at what over there is not working as well as I would like it to. Right. For things to change, first I must change. What do I need to change in myself to make a shift over there, or provide something for my team such that they can make a shift? For me, this is something I work with people on a lot. You know, I work with clients who are $100 million businesses, and I've got one client at the moment. When I met them 3 months ago, they spent 3 years capped at 100 million. They said, I think it's got something to do with us, the 2 founders. I'm like, yeah, I think so. And now we've been working together. We've come up with strategy. They'll do 143 million this year now, and they've had 3 months lockdown and COVID, but they'll still do 143 million. And the next year they're going to do 349 million. Based on the strategy we put in place and their willingness to change. So they were very clear that they'd been at that rate for 3 years and they couldn't break it, that they were aware enough to go, it has to have something to do with us as the founders. It has to have something to do with our leadership. And they were absolutely correct. So it's been life-changing working with them. And if you look there and you say, this is not working as well as I'd like it to, not like it's bad and wrong, by the way, not bad and wrong, just not working as well as you'd like it to. What about me has to change to move a shift there? What do I have to do to provide something for my leadership to have a shift there? Who do I need to be for them? Who do I need to be about this? So for them, for example, I've done a heap of work with them about their job is not to do anything. Their job is to lead the leaders. You know, they used to think they had to do it all themselves. So they would have these leadership meetings with people. Their leadership, they've got 11 people who are leaders at the top of their $100 million business. The founders would show up at their quarterly leadership meeting and tell them what their goals were for each of those 11 people. You think those people were super empowered, super driving it themselves, or was this, you know, on the shoulders of the founders? What do we reckon? So I've flipped all of that around and said, no, we've set the overall goal. We know what has to be accomplished by when. Your leaders have to figure out how their teams are going to do that. You get them to do that thinking. You get them to play that game and see what happens. Guess what happened? The team are like lit up, can't believe it. Oh my God, so excited, engaged, fired up, ready to go. They're making plans. They're getting their act together. They know what they need to do. They've been unleashed. And guess what? The founders of the business have been unleashed. They're like, oh my God, the burden is gone. I'm free. I get it now, right? For things to change, first I must change. So that is not, again, airy fairy. That is fundamental. And here's what I say is people are like an iceberg. So an iceberg above the waterline is the tip of the iceberg. That's all the stuff we can see about you, your overt results, the business you have, the wealth you have, the give back you do, the relationships and so on. But everything is set in place. Everything is there's a structure, like in the iceberg, there's a structure under the waterline that's unseen, hidden from our view. And we all have it. We all have the structure hidden from our view. Our subconscious mind, our deservability, I'm going to talk about in a minute, our fears, our limiting beliefs, our patterns, our approach to money, our approach to investing, our programming, our emotional intelligence, our reality box, all of that drives our behavior and actions, and that behavior and actions gives you our results. So if you want to have breakthrough results, you have to do the work on the underwater line stuff. You have to. I don't care whether you do it with Money and You or Evolve or any of the things that I do or the strategic work I do. You have to do the work to drive up the awareness. And you've all been doing that. You're already here. You're in the Titans. You do that stuff. But you've got to do the work to drive that stuff up, where what is hidden is suddenly unhidden. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And that's where the transformation takes place. And I'm talking to the converted, I know. So this is something that I say. You might want to write this down. Business is by design or it's by default. My specialty is working with businesses from zero to a fantastic number. Startups, usually in the tech space. My other specialty is working with people who are in the $5 to $10 million space and taking them to the $50 to $100 million space, and then $100 million space to $1 billion space. So business is by design or it's by default. You get what you get, or you actually stop and design the business to be how you want and to give you the lifestyle, wealth, and returns that you want. So I'm gonna, if it's okay, I'm gonna do a quick thing because I'm a bit fired up. So I'm gonna give you one thing, right? So what I do with people when I'm working with them is I ask them to we figure out what they want, and we do it in 5 areas. So if it's okay, I'll get you to write down these 5 areas. I wasn't going to do this tonight, but I'll just do it real quick. The first thing is, most business owners, by the way, can tell me what they don't want. I don't want to work this hard. I don't want this team to drive me crazy. Customers are a nightmare, blah, 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 all that stuff. They can tell me what they don't want. They very often can't actually, they have not done the thinking about what they want. So you need to give yourself the space, whether you do it with me or someone else or someone here, you could buddy up and do it with each other. So you have to give yourself the space to think about what is it that you actually want. And I'll get you to think about it in 5 key areas. So what is it that you want? I might be able to pop it in the chat if I'm smart enough. What do you want? Okay. It's by design. Remember, a business is by design or by default. If you do not stop being busy and get strategic, you will just get what you get and then don't be upset. So business is by design or it's by default. So you have to design, you have to stop and design, as Bucky said, architect the future. What is it that you want? And then work backwards from that, design the business to give that to you versus just take what you got. Right? Most of us start our businesses, we have a little plan, and then what happens? We get really busy, and then we just get what we get. So business is by design or it's by default. So what is it that you want? In reality, imagine what's possible. If I could wave a magic wand, cheesy expression, I know, but if I could wave a magic wand, what would you really want? Like, no kidding. In these 5 areas. 1. Oh, what happened there? I think I just messed something up. 1 is, what's your magic number? Paul knows this. We did this work. What's your magic number? What does you want the business to give you? Business, Michael Gerber taught me. I got to work, when I was very young, I got to work with Kiyosaki and Gerber and a whole bunch of other cool people, Jay Abraham, etc. And Gerber will say a business is supposed to give you more life, not take it away. So number 1, what's the magic number you want? That is the net profit you want. In an ideal scene, if I could wave a magic wand, don't worry about which year, and I said, this business produces this outcome for you and your family, what's the number? And I'll know if it's past based because it'll be low You got to be, you can't try and figure it out. I just want your gut feeling. If I could just wave a magic wand and give you a check or transfer the money. Don't do checks anymore, right? But what would it be for 1 year? Don't worry about which year or how you did it. What's the magic number if I handed it to you, right? You got to figure that out. And then you say, okay, great. Well, based on that, what's our revenue got to be? Excellent. And then in there, so this is all in the one thing actually. And in there you look at, well, what do we have to sell to whom for how much to do that? In other words, who can we add value to through our products and services? And then get as many of them in the hands of as many of them as possible. So what's the magic number, and therefore what's your revenue need to be? The second thing, I mistyped that. So just the first thing is what's your magic number. The second thing is what is your magic lifestyle? Do you want to work every day, parts of the day, all full time? Don't want to work school holidays? What do you want to do? You want to have 3 months off a year? You want to, once the borders are open, you want to travel again? You want to work 6 months on, 6 months off, 1 day on, 1 day off? What do you want? What's your lifestyle? Where do you want to live? What kind of travel standards do you want to live by? What's the lifestyle look like? You know, I had a client in her vision session when I did it with her. She said, well, I want to be able to live, I want to live part-time on a super yacht. Part of me in my head went, really? Because where she was coming from was so not a super yacht. And then we spent 9 months. It's taken 9 months, and now the business model will actually give her that level of wealth. Now, do you think she had to change her thinking? Talk about a roller coaster way to push yourself to come out with a model that actually delivers. So what is the magic lifestyle that you want? By the way, just on that stuff, if you notice when you hear someone talk about billionaire or super yacht and you go, I don't need that. Why would we need that? I don't need to have that. It's not about whether you need to. Notice you're listening when something like that is said. It's just the fact that you could. What would have to happen to make that possible? And you don't have to do that. You could give the value of a super yacht to charity. Who cares? It's up to you. It's not that you want to. It's not that outcome. It's who would you need to be and how would you need to be thinking to even be able to hold that as a possibility, let alone make it happen. So number 2, magic lifestyle. Number 3, reach and impact. What is that? What do you want? What do you want this business to? Who do you want to? What's your reach and impact? Meaning local, regional, national. Impact 5 people, 10 people, 1,000 people, 50,000 people, 5 billion people. What's the reach and impact you want? What's the difference you want to make on the planet? What is the contribution and give back you want? We do it through an awesome platform called b1g1.com. If you go to them, tell them I sent you. I don't get a clip, of course, but you'll be treated like a VIP. The chairman, has been my mentor and friend my whole life. So what's the contribution and give back you want to make in the difference? The same woman that wanted to wake up on a super yacht at some parts of the year, she wants to donate millions every year and not have people know it's even her, right? So contribution and give back. The last thing is valuation and successful exit. Now, you might not want to exit. You might want to keep the thing. I like to hold things. So if I can get the business up and working and get it running in the way I think it should, and you know, all of my equity deals have the fact that I will participate until a certain point and then I will step away from the day-to-day and I won't even be there, but I'm still going to own my rights. I'm going to own my equity in it because I built the thing, and then I'm going to hold it. And I'm going to take my dividends every year and not have to even set foot in the place. Unless I want to, which of course I will want to because they're all my little babies, right? So, but I don't necessarily I don't want to sell any of them, but I'm definitely working myself out of those businesses usually within a 2 or 3 year time frame. But I'll partner with those businesses for 10 years or more. So what's the valuation or what would look like a successful exit for you? Now, I don't care if you sell it or not. You have to be prepared to sell it like that, which there's work to be done to do that. And you want your asset, like any other asset, valued at its highest possible amount at any given time. So how do you make the business be valued very strongly at all times? Well, profit, cash, multiples, sometimes multiples of revenue, sometimes multiples of profit, depending on your industry. But what does a valuation or successful exit look like for you? Most people have not really done that thinking. So again, that's another place to work backwards from. Well, I'd like my business valued at $50 million. Great. Well, that means we've got to get the profit here, the revenue here. We can't have the business can't be dependent on you. It's got to, it's got to have confirmed contracts or channels or whatever. Excellent. That's very clear. If that's the outcome we want, we know what we have to go do. Everything is driven by the outcomes the founder wants, because all of our actions should be aligned with delivering those outcomes. So that was a segue. I hope it was a value and got you thinking. And I want to say you deserve it. Anyone who goes into business deserves to get anything they say they want. Why? Because all of us in business hire everybody, pay for everybody, keep the world going around. 98% of businesses on the planet are SMEs. The freaking world does not work without us. So of course you deserve it. You do. And it's brave. Being an entrepreneur, you're titans, you know, it's madness saying I'm going to start a business. When I started my first business, I came from a family of my parents, my mother in particular had been an entrepreneur when I was younger, and my parents had a business together, and they were all small businesses. But I grew up in business, and here I was wanting to start a business. My parents were like, oh dear God, don't do it. Don't do it. Keep the cushy job. I'm like, no, I'm not keeping the cushy job. I'm doing it. Mad. They thought I was absolutely mad. So, you know, it is a leap. It's jump off the cliff and figure it out. So you absolutely deserve it. And it's definitely time for your business to give you what you want and have that happen in reality and make a difference while you're at it. And you can have, in my experience, you can have any size business you want. You just have to declare it and then act accordingly. Find partners to work with, find people to work with who've been the path. You know, I once went to, I in fact organized a think tank. I was part of organizing a think tank in Antarctica for 106 entrepreneurs. And we had to climb up this mountain in the snow, in the freezing cold. It was amazing. And at some point I was climbing up this thing, and I suddenly realized that if I stepped in the footsteps of the people who'd gone before me, it was a heck of a lot easier to get up the hill, right? And then someone saw me doing that, and they interviewed me and said, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, because it is always easier to go inside the footsteps of people who've gone before you. So I don't care who it is, but you have to find a master, someone who has produced results at the level you want to play at, and start working with them. You're in this group, great. Who's working with you hands-on day to day? That's to make sure that you can have that business. Now, you can have the business you want. You can have it. I've seen people go from zero to billionaires. I have seen people go from 5 million to 50 million in 2 years. I've done the work with them myself, time and time and time again. The key is you have to be willing to evolve personally, professionally, in business. You have to be willing to evolve. So there's a few other ways we're going to do that. I'm going to give you 3 more things and then we're done. Number 1, the fastest way to change your wealth is to start looking at your, what we call, the woman who has had the IP rights to Money and You for 35 years, Dame Doyle Cordova. She invented this term. You have to shift your deservability levels. Everybody write that down, deservability levels. You have to shift your deservability levels. If you want to know what your subconscious thinks you deserve, just look around at what you've got. It's a very confronting statement. But if you look at it, it's actually incredibly powerful. If you want to see what you think you deserve, what your subconscious thinks you deserve, those things under the waterline, the things hidden from your view, it is showing up all around you. Look at your relationship. I talked with a client this morning. She is in a relationship, marriage, and you know, it's not great. They're in lockdown and it's not great. As in not great, like might call the police in a couple of days. Not great, depending on what he does. So, but she really gets, she has allowed a business partner in her life that treats her like that, and she has a husband that treats her like that. Her own personal what she says to herself that she deserves has showed up in those two areas. So it's really confronting if you look at it that hard in such a tough circumstance. But we don't have to go that hard. You just look around at, if you want to just look at it and go, well, if I want to get a sense of what my subconscious thinks I deserve, look at the car I'm driving. Look at whether I have my dream lake house or I don't. Look at whether my clients love us or we don't. Like, you could, now, this is, some people say, well, that's really materialistic. I'm like, well, hang on, we're about entrepreneurship and growth of wealth and growth of self and contribution and give back. Can you do more with more or less with more? So what is it that you think you deserve? I promise you, it's right in front of you. Just look around. It's everywhere. So number one tip, if you want to shift your growth, if you want to shift your wealth, start looking and confronting with what your subconscious is saying you deserve. Because, by the way, what your silly little subconscious is saying is not true. It's just a story you made up when you were little. Generally, decisions we made in critical times that no longer serve us. The other thing, the number two thing, is scarcity, blind spots, and assumptions. If you can please write down for me, you're all Titans, you already know this. Scarcity is a falsity. There was no shortage of toilet paper. It was a rumor that went around the world and everybody went nuts. Scarcity is a falsity. The other one, you have to deal with your relationship with scarcity, which is part of the evolution I'm going to talk to you about. Everyone has a relationship with scarcity, but it's not just scarcity if people think about money. It is scarcity in terms of, well, it can be money. It can be time. It can be sleep. It can be love relationships. So scarcity can show up in lots of, you wake up and say, oh my God, I didn't get enough sleep. The end of the day, oh, I didn't get enough done. Oh, there's not enough clients. Oh, there's not enough money for me to do this, that, or the other thing. Oh, there's not enough. He's not giving me enough love. She's not giving me enough attention. Scarcity. There's not enough. There's not enough, not enough, not enough. The ultimate scarcity is what? I am not enough. Which, by the way, shows up in your business. So scarcity is a falsity, and you have to deal with your own scarcity mindset, thinking, relationship, all of that. Relationship to time, relationship to money, relationship to self, relationship to others. Scarcity is everywhere. And you have to transform that if you want to create wealth and grow a business. The second thing is blind spots. So we all have blind spots. You have friends and family members that you see time and time again go out with the wrong person. They keep bringing home the same people in different form. And you're like, oh, why can she not see she's going out with the same dude in 6 different forms in the last 10 years? That's why it's not working out. That would be a blind spot for that person. You can see it, they can't. Guess what? You have your version of that. You have blind spots in terms of your relationship with money. You have blind spots in terms of the opportunities in your business. I'm working with a business in a regional part of Australia. They had a blind spot in terms of their relationship with their customers. Their customers pretty much have to replace their product, and the product's $150,000 to $200,000 product, in an ideal scene, every 5 years. Do you know how many times they've gone back to their existing customers to sell them, to do a trade-in and sell them the new equipment at the 5-year mark in a 20-year history? Guess how many times? Donuts. Never. Just a blind spot, complete blind spot. They've grown by reputation. There's always demand for product. So why would they haven't needed to? It's just a simple blind spot. It's not about needing. It's about, if you want growth, then where are these opportunities for growth? A complete blind spot for that business. Massive opportunity, massive. And going to be fantastic now. But we all have blind spots personally. We all have blind spots in our businesses where opportunities that we just can't see in the business. The reason I produce the results I produce for the clients I work with is I have fresh eyes. Hang on, what? What's it? What? And I went, no. if you just do this and this and this, that'll happen. Oh my God, I've never seen that, because it's a blind spot. And there's different set of eyes and experience looking at it. Doesn't matter what business you're in or who you work with, someone else with experience needs to look at what you're up to help you see blind spots. And you have to do the personal work to drive the stuff from under the waterline up, because that's fundamentally where the blind spots come from. The other thing is assumptions. We make assumptions about what's possible, what's not possible, what's okay, what's not okay, what we think our industry is doing, and we have to stick to that. This business that I'm just partnering with as of yesterday, new tech venture, literally they had assumptions and assumptions and assumptions about how their industry and how they had to do business. Finally got them after 9 months to go, oh my God, we don't have to do it that way. That's right. So they gave up their assumptions, and guess what's happened? The business model has completely changed. They had the possibility of being a $10 billion business in the next 10 years, because they're solving a problem in the market that everyone else has been limited by those same assumptions that they can fix for, right? The next one, if you want to grow your business, grow your wealth, they're generally tied for us entrepreneurs, is you have to lift your standards. So Dita, you asked before, deservability is raising the bar. This is probably more that. So standards and agreements. So standards, if you want to grow your wealth, you have to lift your standards. You have to say, you know what? This here, this Toyota I'm driving, whilst I love it, it's been great and I'm so grateful, is not it anymore. Now I want the Merc. Now, you could get all non-materialistic about me. It's not that point. The point is, if you want to grow your wealth and grow your business, you have to lift your standards. The standard of car you drive, the standard of home you live in, the standard of dollars that come into your bank account every month and into the business every month. You have to shift the standard. By standard, I mean that which we accept are standard. We accept it. That's one way to think about it. The other way to think of it is gold standard, silver standard, bronze standard, platinum standard. What you have to lift your standards. So the way to do that is mostly by declaration. So I said before that I had a terrible learning experience at one point. I lost everything and went from having this incredibly successful business that was across 2 countries to that funded my nonprofit. Everything was tied together, blah, 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 blah. Lost a lot. Lost a home, lost everything. Except, you know, I kept my family, which is great. But that all happened when I had a 5-month-old baby. So it was a very, very difficult time. And I would say, and I tell people, I was broke and broken because it had all happened so quickly, so unexpectedly. Rug got pulled out from under me, boom, gone. Everything I'd worked for. Basically, my culmination of 20 years done. And but what I point to around standards is that I was broke and broken, and I was absolutely clear that nothing less than this amount shall come into our household every month. Nothing less than this amount is coming into our household every month. That is an immovable standard. And guess what? Broken, not healthy, not in a great way, stressed out of my tree with a newborn. Guess what happened? Nothing less than an amount came into our house. And guess what? The minute I started feeling a little better, I'm like, okay, that's enough of that. Now it's this. And then now it's this. And now it's this. And now where we are in 10 years, the standard is completely different. Now the standard is very significant compared to that. But at the time, that equated to the same number, that, you know what I mean? It's all relative, right? It was a big number. It was a 5-figure number per month. And at the time that would have seemed impossible, except there was no way that anything less was coming in than that. And then I just lifted the standard that I set, the expectation of what was standard in coming into our household, coming into our business, etc. Kept lifting it. And it works. So if you want to lift your wealth, if you want to grow your business, you have to lift your standards. And by the way, we all fall into that trap. We get to a certain point in the performance of a business and we go, things are pretty good. I've got this much coming in every month. The business is reliable for $1 million a month or $10 million a month or 100,000 a month, whatever the number is, doesn't matter. You get used to that. That's become standard. Consider that is keeping you trapped where you are. That complacency of not setting a new standard, not setting a new bar, and not determining, so I just said to my husband the last week or so, well, we've got to set our next set of goals. So guess what? He's obsessively watching YouTube videos about super yachts. I know super yachts has come up to us tonight because of that. And I'm like, okay, great. That's a different standard. Fantastic. And then you have to deal with yourself about, oh my God, do I deserve a super yacht? What the hell do I need a super yacht for? Blah, 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 all the in chatter that goes on. It's not the point. The point is lifting the standard to say, whoosh, who would we need to be and what would we have to operate and how much value would we need to add? By the way, I want to give you my definition. The purpose of being in business is to add value. The purpose of being in business is to add value, and profit and cash is a sign of having added significant value in an efficient way. So if someone can go buy a super yacht, they must have added shit tons of value. Now you could say, well, no, there are some bad people in the world, arms dealers, drug dealers, whatever, that own super yachts. Fine, I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about us, people who do good things in the world. Add a lot of value, you get rewarded. That's the bottom line. And then do it whatever you want with that, but lift your standards to get a better result. And the other one is agreements. So we are herd or pack animals, right? Belonging is the number one human value. So we have an unwritten agreement. Now, you guys are in this group. So this group has an agreement and acceptance around expansion. You're here. This is about expansion. It's about growth. It's about doing things differently, right? You've got an agreement here to be people who do that. But in our families of origin and our community, original communities, often that's not the agreement. Often the agreement is something else. We don't want to, as human beings, we don't want to go too far ahead of the pack or be too far behind. We want to be right in the middle because that's the safest spot, right? Every country has some version of what we have here called tall poppy syndrome, meaning if you do really well, people will turn on you, and it will not be fun. And people do not want to get in that position, so they like to just play at a certain point where they're not too far ahead, not too far behind. Every country has it on the planet. But if you want to lift your wealth and grow your business, you have to break those inherent unwritten agreements. You don't have to break your relationships with those people. You just got to give yourself permission to go further. So that client I was talking about, actually, funnily enough, the super yacht woman and her husband and their family will not be aligned with them having that kind of success. But I said, you know what, when you invite them to a party on the super yacht, I'm pretty sure they'll be happy. Now, I'm being a little bit facetious, but the point is you have to make fun of that stuff and go, you know, what can I do for my family if I go further ahead? First of all, I can inspire other generations to come after me. Second of all, I can give back. I can make a difference to their lives. So lift your standards, break some of those unwritten, hidden agreements, unspoken agreements, and choose your own path. You're obviously in a great group. You're obviously proactive. So you've got people around you who support you and have an agreement to support you to thrive and move forward. That's fantastic. So the last thing I really want to say is that you matter. If I wasn't clear, if I haven't been clear in all of my speaking tonight, the most important person in growing your business and growing your wealth is you. You absolutely matter. And entrepreneurs very often can fall prey to being the least important person in the mix. Our clients are important. Our customers are important. Our team is important. Our family and providing for them is important. Our community and giving back is important. And somewhere in there, we might have 5 minutes. You fundamentally matter. What you say you want sets the tone for everything. It sets the strategy. It sets how you do business. It sets why you do business. It sets who you're going to add value to, in what way. You absolutely matter, and you getting what you want is possible. And it's absolutely important for you to figure out what you want and have the business designed to give you that. You matter more than anyone. You are the source of the whole thing. And I don't mean you matter more than anyone in an egotistical way. I mean you matter in actually fulfilling on your intention. You're the most important person. Getting you clear and having you get really clear about what you want and having the business deliver that to you. You matter. Most business owners forget that they matter and just get busy. Busy is not strategic. Busy will have you show up last. Everyone else will be more important. You have to take the view that what you matter, what you want matters, what you want sets the strategy for the growth of the business. So that said, you can have what you want and you have to evolve. And of course, we have an amazing 2-day online program called Evolve XP, the Evolve Experience. It's actually coming up next week. There's a link that's going to go out that says, because you're part of this group, because you're here tonight, you can come and you can bring someone else for the same price. Yay! And it also means that wherever you are in the world, and you can't get to an actual Money and You program at the moment, this is our response. We, as our business that has been shut, we had to evolve. We had to shift how we did business. We had to come up with something else. And our live experiential programs, you can't just put them in a 9-webinar series and say, have at it. They're live experiential transformational events. You can't turn them into, we play games and learning activities. You can't take them online. So we actually spent 7 months working on an incredibly new, different, unbelievable online program called Evolve XP, where we apply the same technology, but do it online. So we play 4 major games and learning activities. You work with people from all over the planet. It's an incredible transformational experience. It's led by a woman named Kerry Zuria. She's been my friend and mentor for 25 years. She's a Money and You instructor, entrepreneur in her own right, has raised about $30 million for charity, and is a master coach. She is phenomenal. So you get to be with Kerry. Obviously, I'm there as well, and a whole heap of other cool people from the planet who are up to stuff, like-minded people like you guys. So we have that special invitation for you with a special link that I put in the private chat to you.
Ryll, I'm trying to copy and paste it and it's not working. So these technical glitches are still continue. So
I will do it for you.
That, and then I'll share, because I've gone through the program. I've done the program.
Oh, that's right. You did it. I forgot you did it. There you go.
So it is everything that Ryll. So if you want to copy and paste that.
There you go. There's the link.
Okay.
So that's a special offer just for you, because you're here on this session, which means that you can come and someone in your life, your family, your business can come. Sorry, I'll come back to that in a second. There's the link.
So I'll just talk about my experience. So it was a 2-day online, and you think, no, I love events where it's face to face, right? You're playing the games, you're having the experience, you're networking, you're meeting, and I'm like, oh, I wonder how this is going to go. Because I actually registered to do the Money and You program in 2019. And because of the lockdowns, and I've attempted to go to Brisbane and other parts of Australia, because of the continuous lockdowns, I just get last minute cancellations. So I haven't been able to go. So Evolve XP came out of that because, they weren't able to do Money and You face to face. And I was like, oh, I wonder what that's going to be like. But I tell you, I was so impressed that with the way the program was structured, you actually feel like you're there live. Like the way they played the games, and the breakout rooms and the interaction was so well done that you have that experience like you're there. And there was, I got so many insights out of it. And it's not a program where you just sit in a room and you are lectured to, or you're given information. The way the program is delivered is through these different methodologies. And I don't want to give away too much, right? Because we are sworn not to reveal any of the games that are played. But the interesting thing is, when you play that game or those games, you get such an insight in yourself. There are just so many revelations, and you go, oh, like, Ryll, you touched on however your business looks, look at yourself. However your staff behaves, look at yourself. However your turnover is, or whatever your turnover is, look at yourself. Whatever the culture is in the organization, look at yourself. It always starts. And I see this working with clients as well. It starts with yourself. So the great thing about, and I'll say thing about the 2 days is, in playing the game, you get to see yourself and you go, oh, that is why that is that way, or that is why that is happening in my life. I don't want to give away too much, so it's really difficult to explain it without giving the secrets away.
It's very cool. It's very fun.
Yeah,
it's
cool.
we've drawn on the vault, the 42-year vault of Money and You, but there's only 3 flip charts that actually repeat in Money and You Revolve. So yeah. It's a fantastic online, live, incredible experience, and it deals with your relationship with scarcity, all those scarcity conversations we had before. It deals with your relationship with sufficiency. It deals with how you future-proof yourself in this crazy world we're in right now. So really invite you to come and participate and take the advantage of the special that's been provided because you've been here, because you're part of this group. So very happy to offer that to the Titans and hope you'll take us up on it.
We haven't told them what the cost is.
Oh, it's about it's $394 US for 2 days.
$394 US.
In Australia, we would say that is 2/10 of stuff all.
But for the Titans, look, guys, you get to bring one other person, so it could be whoever you want.
Yes, you could bring someone from your business. You could bring someone from your family. You could bring someone who just needs a shot in the arm because they've been locked down for too long, whatever it might be.
Yep. So I'm like, Ryll, do something for the Titans. And she's like, all right, I'll do it once.
Oh, very happy to do it.
Thanks, Ryll. So look, it's because I only bring speakers along where I've had the experience, like if it's my personal invite, because I've had the experience with it. So, I say walk the talk. If there's something that I don't believe in or I haven't experienced, I would not share that with you. So I know that even in this presentation, I know there's a lot of value that you can take away and start doing the audit on yourself and on your business. And that itself has been a huge value. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
If you want to, elevate your business and elevate yourself, well, here's an opportunity. And we know, Titans, information and knowledge is power, but it's only as good as the application.
Action. Yes. So in the chat, I've popped the link for the special offer. I've put the email address of my EA if you'd like to meet or find out more about how to work with me one-on-one, as Paul's been doing, and there's my website. So that should be plenty. If you email Katrina, she can set you up with a time with one of my experts or myself and have a look at the website. But otherwise, just come and be with us at Evolve. It's actually this coming, it's 14th, 15th, Northern America time and Europe. So you'll have to jump on. It'll have all the time zones on the link. It should have. And so in Australia, it's Friday, Saturday. In the US, it's Thursday, Friday. Or in North America, it's Thursday, Friday. So some of you would be up late, but I promise it's worth it.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
But I hope tonight's been of value. I'm happy to stay for a few more minutes. And anyone got any questions?
Want you to stay because they will have questions. So who would like to ask the first question?
I hope that has been of value, team, and you got some takeaways from that.
Anybody have a question for Ryll? It's taken many months to get her here, trust me. So she's here, so take advantage. Who would like to ask the first question or have a discussion? Oh, wow, Titans, you're quiet. What's going on? Wake up. No one? No questions? Wow, this is the first. All right, Paul. Paul, how about you tell us? Yep, go.
I have 4 pages of notes. This has been fantastic. So thank you so much for doing it. And got to say that on my journaling this morning, I asked, and I felt weird writing it down, but the question was, what do I actually want? and because it does change. I think you're right. So just recapping a lot of the things that you talked about the first time, and then through us, has sort of been a fantastic rejuvenator, and I really appreciate you coming on today, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you again really, really soon. So
good. We got our